Today, we're going to be talking about Love is Blind.
My favorite attribute is like lips, butt, and all that stuff.
I guess I'll ask you the question, Mitch. Do you need to test drive it before you buy it? Let me just tell you right now, man. Like, I thought this was common knowledge. Are you serious?
Keep me from people who ain't got no reverence for you, and I swear that'll make me a better man. Got no conviction, so why would I listen to people who blind us where that is?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Counterculture Podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Yeah.
Wherever you're tuning in, however you're tuning in. Shout out to everyone on YouTube watching our beautiful faces along with the podcast, and thank you to everyone who is just streaming and listening to our amazing voices. Don't forget, this podcast is sponsored by Uncertified Apparel. We're all rocking it right here. And
unreleased right here.
That's unreleased. Be on the lookout.
Yeah, that's gonna be
on
crazy.
the lookout for a new drop, and cop yourself some awesome merch.
Let's go.
Today we got some interesting topics to go over. I am introing this because Eli's idea was to cover something special today, and I think it's going to lead to some good conversation and some great reactions, especially from me. So
absolutely. Yeah, so here's the thing. Today we are going to be talking, look, I'm not ashamed. All right, I'm a little ashamed actually. We're going to be talking about Love is Blind because I have seen all of season 6. And I'm going to give a little bit of a background into the show, but just to kind of give you guys an idea of what to expect. Listen, in this podcast, this is going to be like everything relationships, everything sex, everything, in regards to all that. And so, we're going to look at scripture. We're going to look at different things, talk about experiences in our own personal life. And so I'm honestly super excited for this episode. Mitch has not seen it. And so I'm actually probably going to be educating him a little bit, filling him in on what's going down. Now, let me just throw out a disclaimer. I don't recommend you go and watch this show. Like, it's like your parents watch something and then they come back and they're like, all right, you know what, kids, like, yeah, you can't watch this. And it's like, they probably shouldn't have watched it, but they did.
Yeah.
That's what this is. All right. So listen to me when I tell you, it's just not necessarily wholesome. It's not really edifying to the spirit, I wouldn't say.
Right.
A lot of inappropriate dressing. Like, there's nothing like sex or anything like that at all.
Yeah, okay.
Just a lot of like super inappropriate dressing.
Whenever me and my wife are scrolling through Netflix and we, just the cover of it, it's obviously like so
And then let's just establish that I did get suckered in. My wife wanted to watch it. Actually, she did watch it without me, and then wanted me to watch some of the episodes. So I actually didn't watch the full thing all the way through. I couldn't make it. I was telling her like, skip.
Yeah.
Okay, just skip past this. Uh-huh. So for a lot of it, I just skipped because it was honestly really hard to just sit and watch through some of it. It's just super drama heavy. But we're going to be reviewing a couple of clips. And in specific, to be honest, we're going to be talking about one of the couples, AD and Clay. And for those of you who watch this, you know exactly why we're talking about them. So to give you a backstory on what Love is Blind is, if you're like, I have no idea what this is. So essentially, this show takes like, I don't know, let's say 10 males and 10 females. And they put them in these things called pods. So it's like literally like two separate rooms divided by a wall, and you can't see through the wall. Okay. And so the idea is they're trying to test to see if love is truly blind. Like, can you fall in love with somebody without knowing what they look like?
Okay.
So honestly, an interesting experiment. Yeah, it's honest. And that's the only reason I actually was willing to sit down and watch it, because I think it is an interesting concept. And so I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I think this is interesting because, I'm a fan of the arranged marriage, I will say, in the right circumstance. I'm a fan of the arranged marriage. I think it's better than the way we date today. And so I was willing to give it a shot. And the first couple of clips that we're going to watch are really, really early on. And honestly, we're just going to have to watch it because we'll break it down and we'll kind of go into some of the topics that we're going to talk about today. But
okay, I'm ready. And is there a disclaimer on this? Is there going to be some explicit content?
So they're not explicit. I mean, keep your own maturity in mind. I would just say there is going to be stuff that is like for mature audiences, just the topics.
Okay.
Some
language or
maybe a little bit of language.
Okay.
So yeah, keep your own maturity in mind. But the first clip that we're going to be watching is from when they're in the pods. They haven't seen each other yet, so that's setting the scene, and they are talking to each other. So this is gonna be good.
Okay. Don't stop the recording.
We fall in love. We have this beautiful connection. It's like, we do the reveal and it's like, oh, wow. Like, we never really talked about physical. And like, that is important to me. Like, Love is Blind. Like, I get it. Trust me. I get it. I just want to have that reveal door and like, be super turned on by my wife,
In what way do you want to talk about appearance in a experiment where we're not talking about appearance?
I just have to be attracted to you.
It does defeat
Do
the
you
purpose.
have like a specific thing that you're hoping comes through that door, or are you open to like a beauty that maybe you've never explored?
Naturally, I would say I kind of lean towards more like petite. My favorite attribute is like lips, butt, and all that stuff. And that sounds like so shallow and all that, but like hearing what your best attributes are. If I'm gonna propose, that's something I need to know.
Regardless of the emotional connection.
Regardless of the emotional connection,
Yo, she mad.
She's
You know what,
bald.
bro? What do you mean tell you what I look like? Like, I do have like...
All right. That's pretty much, that's the end of that clip.
Okay.
So let's just first of all set the scene. Like, my man's standards for a woman
I like how he had his leg up. Is this his posture?
our lips, butt, and stuff, and all that.
And all that.
And all that. I just like, okay, you know what? There's actually a second piece to that clip. I forgot. We got to watch this too.
Okay.
So this is actually before. I think this is before that clip. This is like a 7-second clip, so it's quick.
Okay.
I don't really give the nice guy a try. If I see a red flag, I'm like, oh, well, I'll just paint my nails red to match.
Yikes.
Okay, so quote unquote, I don't give the nice guy a try. If I see a red flag, I just paint my nails to match.
She's got a type.
She's got a type. Her type, any guy with a red flag. So like the interesting part of this is like there's a self-awareness here. Like she knows, and then later on she's like, yeah, my mom and my friends will be like, maybe you need to stop dating these ballers, these sports or these athletes, all these guys. So it's like she has clearly been in this position before. Like this is not new for her. She's clearly been in this position before. And what I think is really, really interesting is like the whole idea of this is Love is Blind. And yet there is a dude coming on here basically in the first date saying like, love is not blind. I need to know what you look like. That's what I'm trying to say.
I could see in a sense how she would be a little like off put by that.
Yeah.
Because he's like really trying to see what she looks like on this type of show.
Right.
But I can't knock him. It's fair.
Nah, let me just say this. All right. You can't have sex with a personality.
That's very true.
Like, I'm attracted to my wife, right? Yeah. Like, I just got done, I told you before this, like we just got done being in a hotel in the city, and it was an amazing time. And if I wasn't attracted to my wife, the time may not have been that amazing, right?
Okay,
like,
yeah.
So I just say that to say I understand where he's coming from. Okay, let me start with that. I do understand where he's coming from. However, the other thing that I'll say is there is clearly an idolization of superficial qualities going on. Like he clearly has these. It's like, bro, if your chick doesn't have a big butt, like she's just disqualified. Like that's it. Like she's the most amazing woman in the world. She has a pretty face, but like she don't got a big butt. So like she's out of the picture, right? And she's literally saying, I see all these red flags in these men, and for some reason, I go back to them over and over again.
That could be a red flag for her. I mean, she might like that.
She must like that. But here's what's interesting though. Here's what's interesting. There's an entire principle. There's so much around this, and I want to break it down for the listeners, because I think oftentimes we hear this and it's like, oh, that's just kind of normal, right? Let me give you a couple examples. I remember being with this guy. I wasn't like friends with him or anything, but I just remember like I think he was a coworker of mine, and he was talking about his girl, and he said nothing about her personality. He said nothing about who she was. He was just like, yeah, dog, like she's got a wagon, bro. Like she is thick. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, well, like what's your favorite characteristic of her? Like, why do you love her? I mean, you say you love her, and he's like, oh, dog, I mean, like she's funny. Like she makes me laugh. I mean, she's nice. She's nice. I'm like,
we know where your heart's at.
okay, yeah, your girl is nice and makes you laugh. Like that is definitely going to survive in marriage.
Yeah.
Like what? And so I think honestly we brush it off because, I mean, as a guy, like I'm sure you relate to this. Like I've been asked this question 15 plus times. Like, are you a boobs guy or are you a butt guy? You've been asked that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So many times, bro. And it's like, what? That's crazy. Like explain to me how your girl having a certain physical attribute is going to help your relationship, help your marriage. Like, bro, you have sex it's like 0.01% of the time when you're married.
Yeah.
It's like some crazy small amount. It's like any long-term actual real relationship, like that's not the foundation of it. It's like searching for these like superficial qualities, thinking like that's going to be what makes you happy is like good. And so I don't know. I think we definitely idolize those things and we've normalized it. Like that's just the normal thing. It's to like look for that in women. And I think and we can go to this later, but the flip side of that is then because women know that's what we look for, that's what they offer. And then that's a good point. Then they feel like that's all that they can offer because that's all guys are looking for.
Right.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's I mean, usually when I talk to other people that aren't, believers, like outside of my circle, maybe some person I don't know as well. If it's a guy I'm talking to, like catching up with, like, hey, like how's life? You got a girl, like what do you like about her? Or, like how's that going? It is very superficial, like you say. Yeah. Like there's nothing like really deep, like, she serves me in this way. Her loving is so selfless, and I love her morals and everything like that. It's always like, she's attractive. She's nice. She's funny.
Yeah, the nice and the funny are classics.
That's such a common answer, and and I do think that people are very weird if all they're thinking is attractiveness. But I mean, in a godless culture,
sure,
like
why not?
If you view dating and just being with someone as just something to chill and just to be kind of complacent and just gratify your desires for the time being, I don't see why that's a perfectly good standard to have. But
for sure,
it's obviously not the point.
Right. No, I mean you're 100% right, and I think you're. Yeah, I think what you're looking for in a relationship is going to reflect, the quality of a person that, you're willing to be with. And so if you're looking for one night stand, right? Like the quality
is attractive.
All you need is attractive. Like sometimes not even that. Like you just need it to work. So I think you're 100% right. But then I think the flip side of that, and it's made really evident through the show. And let me just say, like, not that these two people who are on the show are ever going to listen to this podcast, but like, I'm not coming at either of you with judgment or with like, this is like, man, I'm coming at you with like a heart of like brokenness and desire for you to know something so much better than what you found. Like you have been searching for something in the world to complete you, to fulfill you, satisfy you, and it's never enough. And we'll get to something she says later on that speaks to that. But I think, as I was mentioning earlier, the flip side to that, it's very obvious that guys in the past have wanted her for specific reasons. And so she now presents herself and dresses in a certain way as to attract that type of guy. And so it's like, I think a lot of girls are confused when they're used, when they feel like they're objectified, you know, the list goes on by these guys. And it's like, I just can't ever find a good guy. It's like, well, you're attracting the wrong crowd because you're putting out the wrong things. It's
that's something I've always wondered. Like, if you want a guy that wants you for who you are as a person, why are you
dressing like a
with nothing
stripper?
on?
Yeah.
You're dressing like a stripper.
Yeah, for sure, right? I mean, it's kind of a funny, silly analogy, right? But it's like, if you want to catch, and bro, let me just throw this out there. I ain't know nothing about fishing. But like, if you throw some type of bait out there that's like for sharks, right? Like, I don't know what that would be.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you throw that in the ocean, but you're expecting to like catch a clownfish, and then you catch a shark, it's like, why are you mad? You caught the shark. Like, you were putting out the bait that they are attracted to. And so you're putting out the superficial qualities that these superficial, shallow men are attracted to, and you're wondering why you're never in a healthy, solid relationship with a great guy. Well, you're putting out the wrong stuff. Like, you attract what you are, and you attract what you put out. And so it's not shocking to people who are on the outside looking at you, right? I mean, just like she said, her mom and her friends like tell her, hey, you should stop doing this. Why do you think they're saying that?
Yeah.
They've seen a pattern in your life, and they've seen, you know, some of these things that have happened over and over again, and they want the best for you. And there's this innate understanding in our heads that like the way of doing things that culture tells us to, you know, the immodesty, the sleeping around, there's just like something that tells us that's wrong. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, you never get done with a one night stand and you're like, man, my life has more purpose after this.
Yeah.
No one.
Kind of like what I was saying last episode of how we suppress a lot of that.
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's a really unfortunate side of reality that lots of our culture lives in, is this idea that we're stuck in a loop and we can't find. And then the other thing is, like, it depends on where you're looking to. And I tell people all the time, it's like, you're probably not going to find a super godly girl in a bar.
Right.
You know?
Know where know your situation.
Yeah, know your situation. And so it's like, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say everybody who goes on to Love is Blind is like trying to become a C-list celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, but there was a few on there that were like Christians, like talked about waiting to have sex before marriage. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was really, really cool. And those conversations were dope. You know, that they were aired on, you know, Netflix. But the, so we'll kind of come back to that, and we'll loop things as we watch the next clip. But I wanted to continue to set the scene for you. So these people are in these pods. So AD and Clay is these people's names, and they're talking to each other, getting to one another. By the way, this is like one of the first dates, if not the first date. So this is like said early on in the show. He's like, hey, you know, I got to make sure that I'm attracted to you, and so can you tell me what you look like? So that's really, really interesting. So they continue to date each other through the pods. They can't see each other.
Okay.
So they continue to get to know each other. Well, eventually, you have to propose to somebody blindly.
How long from the first date till proposal?
As far as how long from the first date to the proposal, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure. I think it's pretty quick, like less than a month, I think.
Wow.
I think. Don't quote me on that. Like I said, I'm not some like expert in this show. I haven't watched all the seasons. So I'm not positive, but it's not long. I can tell you that. Like it's not long. I think they date.
A recipe for disaster. Like I feel like all the contestants, they know what they're getting into. I'm going to get to know this person really well that I haven't seen, and then we're going to get married. So, I mean, like,
Yeah.
the chances are 50-50 that something's going to go wrong.
Bro, it's higher than that.
Probably.
It's hilarious though. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. There's a couple scenes. Well, I know there's one for sure where it's like the guy proposed and the reveal of each other,
Yeah.
like you could tell he was not impressed.
He was not impressed. Wow. See, it's like
Oh, hey, it's,
like
it's Jimmy. You all know who I'm talking about. Jimmy and Chelsea, bro.
was that
she
in the
claimed-
6th season?
Yeah, she claimed to look like Megan Fox, bro.
I saw a clip about that.
She doesn't.
She doesn't look like Megan
No,
Fox.
she does not.
I think my wife showed me that clip.
Bro, I was literally rolling. I was laughing so hard, dog. And he in an interview later was like, yeah, I don't know, but she started lying about her look. She does not look like Megan Fox.
Wow.
I was like, oh no.
See, like that stuff's gonna happen.
I
You gotta
know.
expect that.
Of course. Yeah, and so it gets really interesting. So anyways, they're dating throughout these pods. They're getting to know one another. They're talking about likes, dislikes. You know, you're trying to get to know a person to see if you'd be willing to marry them.
Yeah.
I mean, naturally, like, you want to get into the weeds. Do you
Yeah.
have kids? Have you ever been married before, right? Like some of these deep topics come out in some of these conversations. And so they're getting to know one another. Moral of the story, AD gets proposed to by Clay. So Clay proposes, and they have a reveal. You know, they both think they're super attractive. I mean, they're both attractive people.
Okay.
They both think each other is super attractive.
Yeah.
And the interesting part is though, like throughout the process after they see each other, like I don't think things go that well.
Okay.
Like there's a spark there, naturally.
Yeah.
Right? Because we all know what's going on behind the scenes, what they're not showing. But like practically, like they're running into quite a few issues that neither seem like willing to sacrifice on.
Okay.
And so that gets like, you're kind of like, okay, are these not like red flags for you guys? Like,
Are they allowed to sleep together off screen or what?
yeah, oh, for sure they do.
Wow.
Yeah, like,
Okay.
and the only reason I know is because in one of the clips, like they talk about it, like,
Okay.
you know, have you guys gotten spicy yet? And they all are like, have you? Yeah. Like, oh my gosh,
Huh.
we all have. Yeah. So
Okay.
they're sleeping with each other behind the scenes.
Wow.
But there is a couple who does not sleep with each other. Actually, I mean, there's multiple, right?
Mhm.
Because some never got together. But and then the one couple was you know Christian and didn't want to sleep
Nice.
before marriage, so that was respect.
Yeah.
But there's one couple who didn't sleep together. Now, mind you, their reasoning was not good.
Okay.
She wasn't on birth control. He really didn't want kids
Uh-huh.
and didn't even believe like wrapping up was gonna solve problems.
Okay.
Okay, so like this guy was totally anti-kids at this time in his life.
Yeah.
So that's setting the scene for that. So AD, the girl who is with Clay, is talking with this girl. And this is the next clip we're going to show you.
Okay.
This is a conversation that happens towards the end. I think this is like the second to last episode. Hold up, where's my phone? I think this is the second to last episode. And so they have a conversation about sex and about whether or not, you know, her and her mans have had sex. And I need you guys to listen to this, okay? So I'm trying to. There's kind of an explicit version. I'm like, should I play the explicit version or not? We could bleep it out.
Yeah. we can bleep
Yeah. Okay. I think this says all of it.
We're having a great time. We're having fun, but we're being careful.
So you're gonna buy the car without the test drive. Love.
Listen,
That's love.
it's deeper than love. And I love him. And he loves me too.
You don't gotta pretend with me.
Ain't no way! That girl is too spicy. She ain't in there, but
Listen, I'm not buying a car if I don't get a test drive. So good for her. But she in there.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Man. Okay.
So
Who's that other girl? Just some other.
yeah, just another fun fact. The only one to actually get married.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the only one to get
So
married.
she knew what she was doing.
Yeah, maybe that's a sign. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. I guess I'll ask you the question, Midge. Do you need to test drive the car? I posted this as a reel. You remember that?
Yes.
Basically, I
Yes.
said the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you have to test drive it before you buy it?
Yeah.
What do you
No.
think? Yeah,
Sure.
for sure, bro. I'm driving them all. Hey, can I test the lot?
Yeah, let me see the lot.
Let me see the lot.
No, joking. Disclaimer. I never really understood how that analogy connected with dating and with just sex with partners,
Yeah.
because it's two completely different things.
Yeah.
Like a person is not an object that you're
Yeah.
just using.
But I think it's like, and maybe I'm speaking to this and you're like, no, I get it. But I think it's just like, I would never buy a car. I would never commit to something. I think it's like a parallelism in regards to commitment. I think it's like, I would never commit to something, to owning something, like to having something as my own, without like knowing I like it first, test driving it, like getting in there, pushing the buttons, seeing if it drives smoothly. And I think all of that comes with test driving a car boils down to sex for the analogy. So I think that's just like, I don't know. I mean, I see the parallelism. I do see it, like the commitment and not wanting to commit to something before you've tested out the largest feature of a relationship is how they view it.
Right.
I think. But yeah, it is still an interesting
I think
comparison.
it's still in just an incredibly selfish view.
Oh, 100%.
Because, and maybe you can add on this, but like what I just think is, if you're saying like I'm only gonna, or I'm not gonna have, what am I saying? If I'm saying you're just gonna try out sex just to see if you like it, see if it works for you, that's pretty selfish.
Yeah.
It's like,
You think it works?
no, I don't think that works. Like,
No, you think sex works? Like between couples?
what do you mean?
Exactly. Like, when does sex ever not work? Like, and I'm being facetious, but it's like, it's gonna work, bro.
I get what you mean.
yeah,
I feel
you
like
can, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we both know plenty of newlywed couples that are Christians that wait to have sex until their marriage night, and have had problems that they didn't intend because
100%.
of course they didn't have sex before marriage.
100%.
But they ran into issues, but they eventually work it out. They know they love each other. They
Because
know
the puzzle pieces do fit.
right. And they
Like-
know that you don't have to have sex to know that both of you are attractive. Hopefully they've already passed that
Facts.
test.
Facts.
So there's no problem with not wanting to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So what? Yeah. What's the issue then?
What's the issue?
Like what are you scared of? Like, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what you're scared
I
of.
really think it boils down to just you don't want to commit.
For sure.
You want to make sure that
Yeah, and
you have
it's an
every
excuse,
box
bro.
checked before.
It's like somebody who only leases cars. It's like,
Yeah.
if we're going with the car analogy, it's like, just buy a car.
Yeah.
Like, quit leasing your car. Like, you're not building any equity into it. Hypothetically, I know that there's a lower buyout price anyways. It's like, it doesn't make any, and let me just circle back to the question. Do you need to test drive it before you buy it? The answer is obviously no. The answer is no. And if you think that I'm crazy and you're like, you're crazy, bro. Like, I would never, ever marry somebody without having sex with them, without knowing if it worked. I would like to ask you a question. The first question that I'm going to ask you is, how many people do you know in long-term successful relationships where the two people are extremely happy and they had sex with tons of people before their marriage? Not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just curious. I want to know your answer, because the flip side of that is I can give you literally dozens of couples who did wait to have sex before marriage, right? And who didn't sleep around and who didn't indulge in all of that hookup culture and all that stuff, and are extremely happy in marriage. My parents being one of them, right? My parents have been married for 30 plus years. I think like close to 35 years. And their marriage isn't perfect. No marriage is.
Yeah.
But they're extremely happy, dude. They're extremely happy. And guess what? They have 4 kids. Things worked out. You know what? And all, sorry, mom and dad for exposing you. They've shared, like, things were tough in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, things were really like sex wise. Like, it was hard. My mom came from a culture where it was like Southern Baptist, sex is wrong. Like, not
stigmatized.
Yeah, super stigmatized. And my dad is a dude thinking, having the most unrealistic expectations for wedding night.
Yeah.
And so I think that, it caused a lot of problems in the first couple of years of marriage. but I think you choose your battle. I think when we're talking about this topic, it's like you choose your battle. So it's like, yeah, maybe you get really close to this person. It's like, man, sexually y'all are just super compatible. And man, that lasts for a few years. It might last for a few years, but I actually talked to somebody at my work who likes to overshare about their life. It's a customer. And he talked about his first wife and how he's never ever been attracted to somebody like he was attracted to her. And the first 2 years of marriage were amazing, but really they only saw each other in bed. And they ended up getting a divorce.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's like, right. That's how that works. It's like sex is not the end all be all.
Right.
And a couple other things. The puzzle pieces fit. I mean, if it's guy and girl, like, it's really not rocket science. Like, it's gonna work, right? It's gonna work at the end of the day. Like, there's not gonna be, and I'm not saying there's never a rare case, right?
Yeah.
That there's medical issues. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the 99%. Okay, it works. The second thing is, like, statistically, if we look at statistics, so there was actually a study done that showed that in this specific study, it showed that 90% of people who live together before they're married break up. So naturally, if you live together before you're married, you're having sex.
Yeah.
Right? No one lives together and they're, abstinent. It's just not a thing anymore. And then 80% of the people who did get married from those relationships ended up getting a divorce in this study. So that leaves you with 1 in 100 of those couples stayed together. That's 1%. The divorce rate's 50. So there's a gap there, right?
Yeah.
Who's staying together? Well, I can tell you what, it's not the people who are sleeping around. It's not the people who have multiple partners. It's not the people who are in open polyamorous relationships. It's the people who are weird. They wait to have sex before marriage. They stick with one person for one lifetime. They understand the value of character. They understand morality and its weight and play in relationships, especially relationships that they want to last long term, right? And so,
and I was gonna bring those statistics up if you didn't, because how is the test driving culture playing out in reality?
Yeah,
it's leading to
destruction. And I knew you knew those statistics.
It sounds like a nice concept, trying things out before you buy them to make sure you're sold on them and you want to be as sure as possible.
Yeah.
How's that playing out in reality? It's leading to dissatisfaction and broken relationships.
Yeah.
And I think, in a sense, it's the more you try out, the actual more you devalue sex in and of itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Obviously, it's well known that when people sleep together, your brain biologically makes connections,
neural pathways
with that person. It's like attachment. I've heard the analogy of, like, you think of two pieces of tape, fresh off the tape, really sticky. You stick two pieces together and you rip them apart. And then you go to another piece of tape, stick them together, rip them apart.
Yeah.
Every time you do that, they're going to become a little bit less sticky.
Yeah.
Until it's just, like, not very sticky.
Yeah. Wow. I love that analogy.
Yeah. And so the more you are test driving, the more you are devaluing sex and actually becoming less satisfied with it.
Wow.
So by the time you find your soulmate that you're looking for, I think you're going to find that your sexual past has ruined what used to be only intended for this one person.
Wow.
So
that's incredible, bro. I mean, I really couldn't have said it better myself. A quote that comes to mind is comparison is the thief of all joy. And I think in reality, what variety and what the hookup culture and what testing it before you drive it does is it creates this need and longing for variety, right? That is a desire that we fuel. And then all of a sudden we want to get married and we want to just, like, put the cap on it. Right. Yeah. It's like all of a sudden, man, I've literally been able to sleep with whoever I want. Like, I go to whatever bar, I hook up with whoever. I'm sleeping with my friends. Like, I'm sleeping with, literally.
Yeah.
Then it's like all of a sudden I'm going to settle down for a real relationship. Boom, put the cap on it. It's like, that's not how that works, man.
Yeah.
Like, your body is trained to get bored with things quickly. Yeah. And the only way to actually have any sort of excitement or any sort of, like, erotic experience is for you to actually find something new. It's the instant gratification, right? It's we're numbing our brains to something that is supposed to be beautiful and, like you said, intimate with one person, and we're actually just dumbing it down to just this physical interaction between people we actually don't really love or care about. And it is desensitizing us to the magnitude of what sex is and what it should do for a relationship, because it is a crucial part of relationships, right? Like it is. Like my parents still have sex. Like that might seem weird. I know that, but like I know that because my parents were open about stuff like that because they wanted me to see how sex was supposed to look like in a marriage.
Yeah.
And they wanted to set like examples for me and my brothers when it came to how to love one another in a marriage, how to serve one another, how to die to one another. And so I really think like culture is just getting effed, bro.
Yeah.
Like they're getting absolutely screwed. And I think people think sex is the end all be all.
Yeah.
And you really come to find out that like it's not even the smallest piece of the puzzle, bro.
Right.
Like it's literally just like a crumb that fell on top of the puzzle when you were eating a cookie over it. Like it's so small.
Right.
And what's really sad and the trail we can start to go down is how young kids are starting to have sex. I was having a conversation with a person. I'm not even gonna say male or female because I don't want anything to come out. And me and my wife were kind of like mentoring this person and having a deep conversation. And this person was having sex with their significant other. They're very young. And I asked this person, I said, do you think that having sex is a big deal? And they looked at me and they said, no, I don't. I don't think it is. And in fact, this person had actually lost their virginity to somebody they didn't even like really know. Like just did it. Just like that's a new thing. Like in high school.
Yeah.
It's just like lose your virginity.
Yeah.
To somebody. Like it's just like a game. Like just oh yeah, like I need to go lose mine. Like let me find somebody.
Idiots.
What?
Bunch of idiots in these schools.
Stop. Guys, like dude, you like and then for you guys who are old, like grow up.
Yeah, true.
Like grow up. Like stop thinking that sleeping with somebody is going to solve all of your problems. What you're going to come to find out is that you're offering something to somebody and claiming that as the value that you bring to the table in a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you're so shocked when all of these dudes leave you. They're all toxic. It's like you slept with them on the first night. You communicated expectations saying, my body is here for your pleasure and here for you to use. Do with it as you please. And you expect a guy like that who's willing to take advantage of you to treat you like a woman, to hold your door, to raise your kids, to lead your family.
Yep.
I don't know why you're confused, but you shouldn't be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that crazy?
I think something that I've always thought is people, like, let's just say a girl, they have certain standards, but their standards for relationships, sex, directly reflect their standards for themselves.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So like if you are just being promiscuous and treating sex like it's just a thing to do, something for status or just to make you feel good, you are telling yourself that that's all sex is for you and that's all you are as a person is just you know, your standard for sex is so low because you don't really have a high view of yourself.
Wow. That literally is so true. Like people's self-esteems are oftentimes connected with their willingness to give over their bodies and themselves to somebody else. Yeah. And it's really sad to see. And the truth of the reality is it's a two-sided thing. Like for men, it's like you're just a little boy. Like you just haven't grown up.
You're
like
a little rabbit.
You're a little yeah, bro, for real. And it's like if you're offended by that, like good. Like you haven't grown up. You don't know how to commit. You don't know what it is to be an actual man and to be loyal and to be consistent and to be trustworthy and to be able to actually commit to a woman and tell her, I'm going to provide for you. Like I'm going to lead our family. I'm going to love you. I'm going to serve you. I'm going to lead you towards God. Yeah. That's being a man. For the girl, it's really sad because oftentimes it's these behaviors really birthed from insecurities, a desire and a longing to be loved. And it's like, let me just tell you, the love that you're looking for is not going to be found in one night stands. The love that you're looking for can only be found in the blood of Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
And Jesus came so that you could know love And the only source of love that we truly have is from him. And that's the only way we actually will be able to know how to love others. And so if you're looking to the world to satisfy you, you're going to end up being emptier than you started.
Yeah.
Right. But like God is the ultimate satisfaction for our spirit. And when you come to that realization, it's crazy because you realize that everything you were chasing is literally just a mirage. Like you've been told by society, like it's X, Y, and Z because they paint this picture. Movies paint this picture.
Yep.
Music, culture, social media paints this picture that sex is amazing. You need a girl who dresses like this. You need a girl who does this.
Yeah.
You need a relationship where sex is the greatest thing in the world and it's all you guys do. Let me just tell you, none of those people are in happy relationships, right? Act like the people you want to become. Why are you taking relationship advice from 35-year-old women who have never held a relationship? Like I'm dead serious. See people on Instagram like that. It's like women giving advice and they're not in a relationship themselves, but they tell all these women how to. I'm like, you know nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and if you're like, Eli, how much do you know? I know very little. Like I'm humble and I'm not sitting here saying that I'm like the relationship expert. What I can say is that I have had people who are in successful relationships. My dad is a marriage counselor. People in my life have poured into me who have healthy, godly marriages that are fruitful and successful. And they have taught me and poured into me the knowledge and the things that I know today. And so it's like, I'm not some expert. My marriage isn't perfect. I tell you, my marriage is great though.
Yeah.
Like I have a great marriage. And I think if I would have lived if I in college and in high school would have slept with all these different, I would have a lot more problems right now than I do because a lot of that was eliminated because me and my wife have only slept with each other.
Yeah.
And there's no better flex. There's no better
amazing.
confidence. Like it's
a great feeling.
It's a great feeling.
There's so
It's a
much you
great
don't have to
feeling.
worry about.
Yeah. There's a lot, man. Like I don't got to worry where it's been. Like, and so anyways, the last clip that I want us to watch, and let me just say, my heart actually breaks over this. Like after we watch this, like we can break it down, but we're going to see the end result of AD's theory, test driving it before you buy it.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to see where this led her, how this story pans out for her, and if her mantra stands as something that you should live by, or if maybe there's another way that's better for you. So let's watch this.
Okay.
Oh. This is just a funny clip. We'll just throw this in there.
Okay.
I feel like I'm messing up the timeline, but I don't care. So just super quick before we watch the clip. So at this point in the story in the show, I guess I should give an update.
Okay.
They're getting married. Like they're having a wedding. They both agreed to go to the altar.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm just sorry if you haven't seen it. I'm sorry. Like don't listen to this next part. Get out of it. Press pause. I'm giving you time.
Yeah.
Clay says no. She says yes on the altar, and then he proceeds to say no, and says like, "It wouldn't be responsible of me to say yes because I'm not ready to be a husband." But you came on the show.
What?
Yeah, you came on the show knowing that that's literally the goal of the show is to find a wife.
Okay.
Okay, literally okay. But anyways, this is what. And I think I showed you this clip. I'm just gonna hold it right here. This is what he says when he sees her coming up on the altar. Hold up. All right, you ready? Watch this.
Okay, body.
Okay, body. Wow.
Hey, look. Hold up.
Isn't that what you said, Eli?
Yeah. Bro, when my wife was walking up the altar, I said, okay, body. Let me just tell you right now, man. Like, I thought this was common knowledge. I thought this was common sense. If your man, as you are walking up the aisle, says, okay, body, leave, turn around, and put up the white flag and the red flag. I surrender, and this dude is a walking. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Clearly you can see where his heart is. Like, he didn't even say you're beautiful.
Exactly.
Bro literally said, okay, body. Like, that's crazy. Like, if you are in that position, man, I'm sorry. AD, I'm sorry for you. Like, I do feel bad. I do feel really bad. And he says no. And here is the result.
I don't want to like bash him, y'all, because I love this man, but I just don't understand. I'm just never enough. Like, it's never.
You're always enough. The other person is never enough. The other person is not enough. Amber, you just haven't met your person yet, and unfortunately, we thought it was good.
Unfortunately, we thought it was gonna be Clay, is what that finished out to say. Go ahead, bro. What are your thoughts
That's
on
so
that?
cringe.
What are your thoughts? Break that down for us. Like, I don't know, man. I have so much to say.
So she said she feels like she's not enough,
Mm-hmm.
and then her friend or whatever is saying it's always the other person that's not enough.
Yes, it's always the other person.
It's always
That's a
which is
great-
completely
great.
a lie.
Hey, that's great advice. Always blame the other person.
I think that's what we were discussing before, like coming, like just what's the word? Materializing right in front of us. It's it's like that concept of trying out this or the concept of your standards are what you view yourself as.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
it's like this is what she's been trying to do. She's trying to get a man, and she has her standard. She has her red flag standard, and this is what it's leading to. And now
Right.
she's brokenhearted about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That's what you wanted.
Yeah.
So
I'm just never enough, is what she said. Let me just start by saying correct. Like, correct.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
were looking for your purpose, your entire identity, your full satisfaction and fulfillment in another broken human person,
mm-hmm.
you're going to get let down.
Very true.
You're going to get let down. Like, let me tell you this right now. My confidence, my identity is not my wife. It's not in my wife. It is in God, the one who created my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so this whole idea that like I'm never enough, it's like, no, you're not. And neither is Clay. And he never will be, and you never will be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's really sad is like this whole time, like they're talking about the spark and how they really click. I mean, and like at one point in the show, it literally is like, yeah, I mean, we can't stop. Basically like we can't get over each other. Like we're obsessed with each other.
Yeah.
We're clicking so well. And it's like, it just goes to show how little that matters. How little that truly matters.
Mm-hmm.
In the grand scheme of things, and it is honestly a challenging principle. Even to me, it's like, I understand you can't have sex with a personality. I think you need to be attracted to your significant other. But what I will say is I think we look for attraction on the surface, and that is the only way that we deem somebody to be attractive. And I think the truth is, I think people can be attractive in who they are.
Very, very true.
Very, very attractive. My wife, like, bro, the more I get to know her, like, she is literally just more beautiful and more beautiful every day. Like today, and like, this is silly, but like, she had a long day. She watched 5 kids today. She babysitted, and she came home and knew that I didn't have a lunch today because we got home late last night and we didn't have time to meal prep. And so I fasted. And so she made me my whole week's lunches, made me supper, made me this Beijing beef, and then made me strawberry sorbet for dessert.
Oh.
It's like, that challenged me because I was like, if I was her, oh, you best believe I was sitting on the couch. Like, I'm not making nobody food after a whole day of watching 5 kids.
That's awesome.
And so it's like, man, that's so attractive to me. Like, I don't even know, honestly, what she, like, I can't even remember what she looked like. But I can tell you, like, the whole time before I came to this podcast, I was like, just enamored with my wife, bro.
I gotta shout my wife out too. Just today. When
Come on, Kels.
Coming home from work, she's had a terrible week at work.
Yeah.
And then she comes home, and I'm not even home yet, and she's still in her work clothes. It's been like, I come home like 2-3 hours after she's done from work.
Wow.
And I come home, she's still in her work clothes, and she's deep scrubbing the shower, deep cleaning the shower, got the whole apartment cleaned, makes me dinner.
That's
I'm
crazy.
like, come on, you haven't even had time to change your clothes.
That's crazy.
Like, that's
and like,
awesome.
let's I mean, we can both throw this out there. Like, I don't expect my wife to just be like a slave for me. Like, I serve my
Right.
wife, man. Like, I want to come home and like take things off her plate, whatever it is that I can. If she wants me to do the dishes, if she wants me to take Malachi, my son, like whatever it is, right? I gave her a full body massage last night, right? Like I want to serve her as well. And so don't get us wrong in the sense of like the only thing attractive about a woman is her service to us. That's not the case. What we're saying is that there is so much more in a woman than what she looks like.
Yeah.
And you need to be looking at those qualities and vice versa, like for women and then men. And I think ultimately, like, culture just needs to realize, like, stop looking to the superficial to satisfy your soul. Like, just not gonna happen. Like, you can search all you want and have as much sex as you want. And what's really telling is, like, look at all the celebrities, you know, Ty Dolla $ign, like all the people who have been with, literally, like culture's epitome of like bad.
Yeah.
Like the most supermodel models.
Yeah.
You know, Tom Brady, like, and they're divorced.
Yeah.
Because that's not the end all be all. And so, for AD, like, man, I am sorry for her because I feel really bad. But at the same time, it's like you should know that by what you're putting out there and what you are attracting, the end result is not going to be a long, fruitful, loyal, consistent marriage.
Yeah. Even if he said yes, I doubt it would have worked out.
Yeah. And he was concerned on cheating on her all the time.
Oh, no way.
I'm dead serious. That was like his biggest concern.
Jeez. Huh. Well,
there's a problem there. Like, there is a problem there, bro. Like, you have a problem. She has a problem. And let me just say this, like, we went a lot towards, like, we a lot of this was said geared towards guys. I guess it was both, but I do want to say, as far as it goes for women, like, I don't care how much hate I get for this. Like, quit dressing like a hoe and thinking that you're going to attract some man of God. Like, like you do not understand that you dressing like that does something to a guy's mind, and it opens up a door to where there is a view and a lens he sees you through that is so sexualized that you may not even have any clue. And you're like, that's weird. That no, it's true. Like, bro, like I've led groups, small groups, ministries since I was like 10. Like, this is the consensus for guys.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to convince me otherwise. This is how all guys think. And so, like, when you show up to the gym and you're just in a sports bra and panties, like, who do you think you're going to attract? You're going to attract the guy who wants that and is only looking for that. But when you attract a guy at church because you're faithful and you serve and you're on the worship team, it's like, you are probably going to attract a man of God who's desiring those type of qualities. And he's probably going to be somebody who's loyal, consistent, faithful, trustworthy, all those things that I know you truly want. But you're not finding because you're attracting the wrong people and you're looking in the wrong places.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sex is not the end all be all.
Nope.
It is very, very important and amazing. It's obviously a gift
It is
from God.
amazing. Amen. Like, gosh dang. It doesn't have to be like, it's not bad. It's just God had a intended institution where it was supposed to take place, and that's within marriage. And when it's done in the confines of marriage with one person, it's so much better than you could ever imagine.
It's not meant to be discarded and done with however you please outside of the context of marriage.
Nope.
And just treated as something. And just this whole idea of test driving before you buy. It's like you were saying, it obviously works. And if you love someone, before you have sex and you already know they're attractive just from their appearance, like, can you guys not communicate?
Yeah.
Can you not grow together in that?
For sure.
Like, so it's just such a stupid thing.
It's a cop-out.
You're posing as a problem.
It's a cop-out.
When it's not. It's a cop-out.
It's a cop-out. Yeah. And the reality is this. We didn't go into a ton of scripture because really I wanted to just touch on the overall idea and the premise of sex in culture. If you're confused, if you're a Christian, abstain from all sexual immorality, put to death the things of your earthly nature, flee from sexual immorality, right? If your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. If your eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out. Okay, I could keep going, right? The Bible calls us to purity. And if you are not married, you need to abstain from all of that. Like fornication is sin. Like, you can't, it's not like, oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and this isn't sin because I'm not having sex. Okay. So let's just like throw all of that out there. But the reality is, if you are a Christian, I think you just need to check and evaluate your heart because it's like what God wants for you, right, is not all of these things that culture is idolizing and pushing onto you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are living in that way, I would just challenge you to contemplate, like, who am I actually worshiping and submitting to? Like, am I following culture or am I following Jesus? Because those are two very opposite ways.
Yep.
And so I just, if you are a Christian, I just want you to hear that, because I know we didn't talk a lot about that lane, but
Of believers.
yeah, just for believers. And once again, a lot of this is just like, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you're a believer. Like, and I don't even need to bring in religion to a lot of this, because it's just like God's plan is for our best. And I just read this, like, God created us, and his desire is for us to have life and have it to the full.
Yep.
Like, he did not create us, to be deprived beings of anything good or fun. It's like, no, actually, he understands that the fun, in quotes, that the world offers is, just less than compared to the joy and the peace and the hope and the security that you can have in Christ. And that is something that is priceless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's something that you can't buy, you can't fabricate. And once you find it, man, it's like gold. Like, it's a treasure. Hold on to it. And there's a proverb, and we can maybe kind of, I feel like I have literally so much I could say, but we could end with this. There's a proverb that says, like, a woman who fears the Lord is like a golden crown for her husband.
Yep.
And then it said, there's a couple of verses that says, like, a nagging wife is like a dripping, leaking roof.
Faucet.
Or faucet.
It's better to live in the wilderness.
Yeah. So it's like, man, God makes it pretty clear the value of a woman who fears the Lord. And there's a lot of scripture, and I think we've talked a little bit about this, about somebody who is openly offering their body, sex, and what it actually says is the young man follows her to her bedroom, but what he doesn't know is he's like an ox going to the slaughter. Yeah. And so all that comes from indulging in your flesh and sleeping with random people and hooking up with people that you met on Tinder is death.
Yeah.
That's it. No life comes from it. Nothing good, no purpose, no fulfillment. The only way that you can find that, the only source of that, is Jesus. And if you don't know that, man, like, I encourage you. I pray for you. Like, I hope you find that, because it's so beautiful. And I desire nothing else for you in your life. Are we gonna do the 2 comments real quick?
Oh yeah. Totally forgot about that.
So we're gonna end.
This podcast is gonna be long.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long boy,
Heck.
but it's really, man, this was good.
Yeah,
this was good, man. Like, I hope you guys just genuinely learned something from this. And there's actually, like, I want to put so many resources. If you think this is all BS, man, like, the amount of statistics and resources that I have backing these claims is like a lot. Like, this has been proven. Like, not living with your significant other, not having sex before marriage, waiting to date later in life, like, not in middle school and high school. I mean, I have so many statistics to back these claims up.
Yeah.
So if you're curious and you guys want another episode where we break those down, I would love to. Because I'm not going to shy away from that. There's tons of anecdotal as well as quantitative evidence out there, giving proof to these claims. So, all right, a little segment. Comments from our last video. I think there's only 2. I'll read the first one then.
Okay.
This is the first comment. Don't you guys think it's crazy how you fetishize a Jewish zombie just because the Romans killed people for not believing in the Jewish zombie? So now you're just pretending like the laws from Rome were real. LOL. Wild shiz, boys. Dinosaur 4782.
Yikes.
Gotta love it. Yeah, I told you you're going to be on the podcast, my guy. Hope you're tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed this episode so far. How I fetishize a Jewish zombie. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what you want me to say to that.
That's the most, like, wild caricature.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus. So a couple quick things. Like, Jesus is a historical figure, just like Abraham Lincoln, just like George Washington.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, maybe you acknowledge that he's a Jewish zombie. Right. Multiple eyewitness accounts. Different people in the community whose sole job was actually to document and be accurate in the recording of what took place, documented this. Japhesus was one of those. Yeah. And so there's actually real documentation that Jesus did rise from the dead. And then we've talked about this before. almost all the disciples, I think, except for one, went on to be martyrs for this. And so if you followed this guy, he died, and then that was it. I don't think you would go and continue and sacrifice your own life to die for a lie. It's very clear that they saw him. Actually, there's over 500 eyewitnesses. And so, yeah, no, I'm not fetishizing a Jewish zombie just because the Romans killed people for not believing in him. Actually, the reason they killed him was because he had so much power and influence that they were scared that they were going to completely abandon their leadership and influence and simply follow Jesus. And so like towards the end of, I'm reading in John right now. This is a little bit longer, but in John right now, Lazarus gets raised from the dead, and they want to kill Jesus and Lazarus because of how much influence and impact it created in the society. Like he was a big deal for a reason.
And
right?
it was mostly the Jews that wanted to kill him and influenced Rome as well.
Correct.
They really were the ones that put him on the cross because they did not believe he was God, and he was clearly claiming to be their God.
Yeah.
And it's just such a wild caricature of Christianity. Like that sounds like something you would a middle schooler would come up with.
It is a little childish. I mean,
and so there's obviously you can recite the facts and evidence and statistics of the narrative and the gospel account of Jesus, but that's gonna go right over this person's head
for sure, because they're ignorant and they have no education on this.
Yeah.
And so Dinosaur 4782. I just would say do some research. Like, I don't blindly follow Christianity.
Absolutely not.
Like, heck no. I have faith, and it requires a level of faith, but so does everything. Atheism requires more faith than Christianity. And so, anyways, you want to read the next one?
So we got from Seth Travis.
My man.
I'm sure you all are familiar with Cliff Netchell. I am familiar. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm sure you've seen clips of Cliff. He's the pastor that goes to College University.
Yeah. Oh, Cliff.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He was just
a guy.
on the George Janko podcast.
He's a super cool guy.
So yes, I am familiar. I'm sure you're familiar with Cliff. He said, "Do not follow religion, follow Jesus Christ. If you think I'm going to follow American Christianity, no way. I'd be a fool to follow American Christianity." What is your take on this, and how would you explain it in your own words?
Yeah,
great question.
It is a great question, Seth. And I think a couple of things you need to realize. American Christianity, that word is so nuanced. I mean, what is Christianity? I think if his point is the idea that, going to church on a Sunday, singing the right words, doing the rituals, putting on the fancy outfits, sipping your coffee, If that is what makes you a Christian, I would agree that's BS.
Yes.
Right? Like, we were called in Romans to offer ourselves as a living sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right? That's our true worship, which is holy and pleasing to the Lord. And so I think, yes, in the sense of like, Christianity has been Americanized and watered down for sure. Because it's like a lot of Christians come to church, dress up, sip their coffee, eat their donut, and leave. And that's really the only dose or piece of God that they take from.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's like, man, the strong start on Monday, right? Kanye.
Yeah.
And so
start on Sunday.
Or start on Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the strong start on Sunday. It's like, man, that's where you should that's where your week should be starting, not where it should be ending. And like, that shouldn't be your only time where you're interacting with God or the people of God. So, I mean, I don't know. I could go into that for hours, but that's
absolutely
a short, quick take.
I've watched a lot of Cliff's videos, and he's said that along the same lines of that same sentiment in to many students across a bunch of campuses. And I think the context of what he's talking about that in and whenever he brings it up is that idea of the American Christianity that is honestly mostly wrong. About
slapping God's face.
I just got done listening to a sermon by Paul Washer, one of my favorite preachers, and he says that it's probably an unfortunate reality that in most American churches, like 3/4, most of the room is going to go to hell.
Yeah, wow.
Because
that's so true.
Because a bunch of those people are tricked into thinking that they are Christians because they're just following a religious practice of going to church.
Yeah.
And they're going to come.
Your fruit?
Yeah, exactly. That was a big part of the sermon. And they're going to come to the Lord, and He's going to say, "Depart from me, I never knew you."
I never knew you. And Matthew, I I don't love that verse, but I love that
Matthew
verse.
7. Yeah.
Matthew 7.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's scary.
So on one hand, yes, American Christianity has a lot of toxic things that devalue the gospel and turn people, actually, they guide people on a path to destruction that they don't even know they're on.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it, not focused on American Christianity, but just in a general sense, like if it's true Christianity, the religion built around that is very valuable.
Yeah.
And I encourage everyone to be a Christian and to follow the religious structures of Christianity.
Right.
Because they keep you disciplined and in a constant sanctification process.
Yep,
And aware of
absolutely.
your sin. There's so many benefits that come to the religious part.
Yeah.
And the structures of that.
Yeah.
So it is valuable, but in an American sense, no, yeah, just go to Jesus.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you go to Jesus and follow him and his words in scripture, you will follow the Christian religion.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and there's good churches, bad churches. I would say don't contribute to the problem, be a part of the solution, right? And just because you've gone to one fast food restaurant and it had horrible food, it doesn't mean you stopped eating food completely.
Yep.
And so if you've had a bad experience with Christianity or church or God, I don't think that justifies you to completely write off the entire religion or write off every single church. I have experienced church, hypocrisy. I've experienced church hurt. I've experienced crazy stuff in church, but I've also had the greatest friendships, the greatest brotherhoods, the greatest, I met my wife at church. So there's so much that has came from it that has been good, but there's also been bad. And I just think you need to have that understanding that church is made up of people and people are broken.
Yeah.
So you can't expect churches to operate perfectly. But I think if you chase the one who is perfect, that's where you'll find your satisfaction and not in an institution created by man, but in the one who created man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that covers it.
I think so.
Good question.
Yeah, awesome questions. If you guys have more questions, put them in this video.
Keep
We will
commenting.
try and address those in our next episode.
Yeah, if you have any more hate, at least make a coherent argument that makes sense, and we'll also respond to that.
Yeah. Seriously, guys, thank you so much. Wherever you're tuning in, we're thankful for you. If this added value to your life, man, if you felt like this helped you see something in a new perspective, if you felt like this could be beneficial for somebody please share this. That's the best way our podcast is going to be able to grow and reach new audiences, is so you actually sharing this on social media, sending this to somebody through text, whatever that looks like. Please share with somebody who you think would enjoy it. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Give us a follow on all of our streaming platforms. We love you guys. We're thankful for you. God bless, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time.
Peace.